Welcome to the Go Use Australia podcast. It's the podcast for Australian shooters who just want the political interference taken out of shooting.
And welcome to another episode of Gun News Australia, brought to you by Politics Reloaded and Gun Traders Australia. And you can support us by becoming a member of Politics Reloaded at our website, politicsreloaded.com, or backing our work by becoming a supporter through Patreon at patreon.com/Politics Reloaded. And I have today with me Dave Finnie from Western Australia. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm going very well, Neil. Thank you.
Okay, now your name appears on a petition that I think a lot of shooters now know about. A petition being moved by Dr. Brian Walker, who's from the Legalised Cannabis Party in the West Australian Parliament. We interviewed him a little while ago about the petition, why it's being done, etc. And he spoke about it quite well. And but I think astute people will note that you're in fact the principal petitioner, which we'll see right here. And can you just tell us a little bit about how it came about?
The petition, I guess, really came out of a frustration. The Act which we are struggling with at the moment in Western Australia has turned out to be an absolute mess, and it's been sent back even with a government agreement for review. But effectively, that means nothing because the review process doesn't stop the enforcement. So it just seemed to me that it was a somewhat immoral situation, that there's a recognized fault, and basically they've slipped a sideways movement to distract things at the side, but nothing changes. And this review process has got over 2,600 submissions. So we all know that that's not going to take 3 months. That's going to take a year. And meanwhile, none of the laws which they by default are admitting are problematic are being addressed. So to me, it was a moral issue.
Yeah, and the petition's actually going very well as we're recording this. You've got 20,000 signatures. I think the target was about 30. So let's see where that ends up. Even if Labor doesn't act on it, that they'll certainly be, well, basically the electoral value or the political value of shooters' attention will not go unnoticed. I think that's a key thing here.
Yep, very much so. I mean, the petition is ultimately just a request, and we know what governments can do with requests. They can shelve them, they can do all kinds of things. But politics is more about the show, and if they see that the people are getting unhappy with them, that has more effect than probably even numbers on a petition. So we do need to show a very strong hand in more than one area, and certainly Brian Walker's doing an excellent job with us in that area.
And I think the other thing that has to be noticed is that you and a small band of others have organised a rally, another gun rally for WA shooters to make the point about the way they're being treated. And we've got it up on the screen here. This is actually part of a GoFundMe campaign, which I'll talk about in a second. But tell us about the rally that's being organised, sort of when, where, and why, and how shooters can get involved.
No worries. Well, the whole thing is really growing from the petition was, shall we say, an item one which got us started. But then we saw that it dovetailed very well with what Brian was doing, because literally 2 days after the petition would be presented, Brian is moving a disallowance motion. So it was basically one thing led to another, and then we realized that if we're going to get some political mileage out of this, the best thing to do is to have a rally on the steps of Parliament, literally hours before Brian presents his motion to the Legislative Assembly in Western Australia. And in between that, another thing which grew out of this was a suggestion that we have an email campaign, and we all email our MLAs, the people that Brian obviously sits with, and that's a huge task. There is 37 MLAs in our Legislative Assembly, so we've called for our supporters to do that as well. So it's the petition, it's the emails, it's a disallowance, and it's the, as we're going to call it, boots on the ground on the day.
So let's talk about the rally. Now, I did show before the fundraiser for that. So there's actually a number of moving parts to this. We've dealt with the petition. So the rally itself, will be held on the 14th of August. And here's the flyer now. So tell us about what the rally is about, who can be involved and how. And obviously the details are there for those who are watching the video version of this podcast. But would you like just to add a bit more context to this?
Certainly. As I say, this whole thing has started out initially under the timing and this current situation being firearms. But we also realised that this is not just firearms. This is actually overreach of government. And a lot of the things which have been done in Parliament bypass most of the democracies we insist on. And basically, if we allow this to go unchallenged, similar overreach can be applied to telling our farmers what they can do with their land, what boaters may do, where four-wheel drivers may go, what rocks a hiker may go onto. And basically, unfettered power in government can go this way, and they tend to remove our, if you like, our liberties and our rights one slice at a time. So not only has it attracted the attention of firearms owners, we're seeing a lot of other people popping up, and we're hoping to see them at the rally. And we want to involve anyone who has got a concern with the way this has been done, the lack of review, and what could ultimately trickle down to their sports, their activities, and their rights.
This rally is being held on the 14th of August. As you said, it actually picks up other groups, not just shooters, but you've got people who are concerned about the passage of the Cultural Heritage Act, the live export, and other outdoor recreations, really. So this is being held on the steps of Parliament. And the guest speaker, just slightly down the bottom, you can't quite see it, but is Dr. Brian Walker. I think the other thing to note is that this is actually the second gun rally, pro-gun rally being held in Perth this year. Okay, not only about firearms, but firearms have been front and centre of this. The first rally was held just before the March state election, and I was pretty happy. And in fact, I think you were there also. I was pretty happy with the turnout of that, even though others sort of really didn't quite understand or didn't get it. But hopefully they'll get it now, because we saw that the outcome of the first rally, there were people who were saying, oh no, the police will be there and they're going to wander people and the media will be there and make a mockery of shit. None of that happened. Literally
Correct.
None of it. So there is nothing to fear at all, but everything to gain by making a stand to, as a shooter who's been caught up, or other groups who are caught up in this mess that was created by the government, as you said. Make your voice heard. So tell us more about the rally. I mean, tell us sort of, it's starting at 11 a.m. on the steps of Parliament.
Well, what we've said is that the main attendance and the main time we want to make our point is between 12 and 1, which is when the Parliament is at lunch and the politicians will hear and see us. But everyone is welcome to turn up an hour earlier. In fact, if they can bring their posters, we encourage it. And yes, we certainly like to see all walks of life there, family members, to show your support. This is not just the shooter, it's actually a bit of our culture and what we stand for. And the rally, as you say, will be on the steps of Parliament. And you couldn't get a safer place. Parliament has security, it has video cameras. So any scare techniques which we've had be applied to us before, I think we can dismiss. I think we couldn't be in a safer family environment.
Proof is there from the first one. Nothing bad happened. So whilst people might think, oh yeah, but the registry will come after me, and or the media will make no. As I said, the last one was only a few months ago. Didn't happen. Just go for it and support the rally. Be there. And if you got mates who are shooters, you got family members, bring them along.
The other thing we suffered a little bit under the previous time was that governments love division, and we had some division between, shall we say, some of the major sporting organisations, and whether it be ego or whether it be, at the end of the day, we're all in this together. So I've promoted this in a totally independent capacity, all welcome, and it's been amazing, the groundswell which is built up behind me. It's been very heartening, and it's not under any official banner. everyone is welcome.
The green light for AA. You say that, you support shooting causes, so get out there and promote it.
Yep.
Is my challenge.
Would be lovely.
The other part to this is we want to promote the rally through media, and you've done some costings of running an ad. Now, bear in mind, this is being released early August. We're talking about August 14 as being the deadline. So really, to get the ads lined up a few days beforehand, the time pressure is on. We've got about a week now in which to raise enough money to promote the rally through the papers. So this is this is another GoFundMe rally, but it's a fundraiser, but it's a legitimate one. I'm going to say nothing more on that front, but other than the fact that you have costed this out, basically what you need is, and you've got different estimates ranging from full page to half page ads, weekend, midweek, and the costs range from $6,500 to basically 30,000 by the time you pop on GST. So you have actually set you've set up a fundraiser, which I'll put up in right now. And so what we're looking at here is the fundraiser to raise those funds. You set a goal of $50,000, and basically we've already got off to a fairly good start. 11,000 has been raised at the time of recording this. We need 50. We've got a short time to do it. It's clear that what the money will be spent on is to basically get the message out to as many shooters as possible. The rally's on, get there, support it, and make your voice heard. Basically, we're trying to make sure that Labor understands that their hope that we will just fade away has not succeeded, that you're not fading away.
And Neil, look, the whole idea with this newspaper bit is we ourselves, including you and me, we're in a group of shooters, but there's a group of people out there that we need to get to. It's not just the shooting community this time. This is bigger than that. So the hope with newspapers is that we're going to reach the lawyers, the doctors, and ultimately the politicians as well, and get attention as to what is going on. We're just one small cog. This is our time on this with Brian. But we need to get the broad community behind us. They're all going to be affected one day.
Yep. So the link to the fundraiser for people to support the rally is in the description to this video. So is a link to the flyer, the image of the rally. So that'll be the description of this video. And also in the description to this video will be links to some pro forma emails that you've prepared for shooters to get onto their local MPs and tell them exactly what they're concerned about, because this is obviously hurting shooters. It's the biggest news. It's affected shooters in WA for I think decades. So tell us about the pro forma emails and what you want shooters to do.
Okay, well, certainly. Look, from the QR codes, it will download files for you. And when I say pro forma, we're trying not to use, shall we say, a total formatted system, because it's important people tell their own stories. We don't want our politicians saying, I've got 2,600 emails the same, I'm going to count it as one. So in the link, there's the option of, I've thrown together about 40 items and saying, look, these are some prompts. What applies to you? Use what you like. Tell them your own story. And I guess the vital thing is, as I say, there is another 36 members in the Legislative Assembly we have to convince. So I'm really asking people to do these emails to 36 different people. I know it's a big task, but this is the last chance we have to do a legislative step to stop this. So what I've generated is a file which can be downloaded from the QR code, and it's inviting people to list their concerns and go to all 36 members, because we need a massive swing. There's a very large number of voters MLAs we have to swing. The Greens, for example, the conservation, they know there's conservation problems. We need to convince them. And we need to get a huge number on board. So I know it's a lot of work, but I'm asking people to sit down, write an email to your MLA asking them to support Brian's motion. Give us your own story, why it affects you, what your concerns are. And sure, you can cut and paste it into these emails. But I wouldn't just do a CC. I would ask you to try and paste it into a new email, send it to each individual MLA, and all of their email addresses are shown in that form.
We said before, the links to these are in the description of this video. The email addresses are there. You've also interestingly noted that the emails to the Greens, if you live in a seat where you've got Greens members of Parliament, that it's a high priority. Tell us why you're saying that it's a high priority.
Okay, well, what's actually happened when the previous motion for review of the Act came up, the Greens understood the concerns on conservation, and they're as concerned about protecting our native species from ferals as anyone else. So they were very supportive of the Act review. They did at the time say that they were not convinced about going for a disallowance motion, which is what Brian is doing, because they believed that would create basically what was called, I think at the time, a nuclear condition where we would have a lawless situation where the system would be broken. This is not actually true. There is a mechanism in place in the Interpretation Act of government that if Brian succeeds with this disallowance, it simply reverts back to the previous regulations. There is no lawlessness. So this is a point that I think Brian has been trying to get across, and we need to get the Greens on board with this second phase because they may have been scared off.
Because they hold in the upper house pretty much the balance of power.
Absolutely.
And so the only reason why the review motion got up is because the Greens supported it. That does not mean that they would support changes to firearms legislation. It just says that they would support the review. So what we need to do is we need to push them and keep them on board about these processes, but we also need to make them a bit more sympathetic and understanding of why changes to the legislation, especially if it comes out of the review, why that should be supported, because otherwise, without their vote, we're not going to see the changes that we want to see.
Correct.
To recap, we've spoken about the rally, the emails, the petition, and I just want to come back in the last stage to really drive home the fact we've got this fundraiser. This is the best opportunity shooters have in the next few days to back the cause, and of course we're going to come back with more details of the rally closer to the date. So just one last push. We've got this fundraiser. It's to get the news about the rally into the papers so that more shooters can get there and make it probably the biggest event that we've seen in WA in many years in terms of public protest. So there it is on GoFundMe. The link is in the description. So I guess on that score, let's hope that shooters do that, David Finnie.
We certainly do, and we'll look forward to support on the day at Parliament House.
Okay, Dave Finnie from WA, thank you so much for what you're doing for the shooting sports. It's fantastic to see all this coming together, but also thank you for coming on today and sharing that news.
No worries, pleasure.
Okay, all right, we'll see you later. Thank you. Yep.
Thanks, Neil.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Gun News Australia. And if you're a supporter through Patreon, you'll get access to early release of the episodes as soon as they're uploaded. And you'll also get access to our Friday night live streams. So to support our work, simply go to patreon.com/politicsreloaded or use the QR code on the screen, or see the description in this episode for details.